Good morning, Sir Pascual. I am Eugene A. Divinas Jr. from BSMT2Y1-10. The duty framework, often associated with deontological ethics, focuses on making ethical decisions based on adherence to moral duties and principles, rather than the consequences of actions. To apply this framework to the case of GR number 222430 of August 30, 2017. 1. Identify relevant duties and principles. Legal duties and legal duties determine the legal obligations and duties involved in the case. For instance, if the case involves a breach of contract, identify the contractual duties of each party. Moral duties reflects on the broader moral principles at play. This might include honesty, fairness, and respect for the other's rights. Number 2. Analyze the case based on duty framework. Duty to act. Assess whether the parties involved fulfilled their moral and legal duties. For example, if one party failed to meet contractual obligations, consider whether they act in accordance with their duty to fulfill their contract. Principle consistency. Evaluate whether the actions of the principles Evaluate whether the actions of the parties aligned with universal moral principles. That involves ensuring that their actions respect fundamental ethical standards such as honesty and fairness. 3. Evaluate ethical decision making. Assess compliance. Examine if the decisions and action in the case complied with the identified duties and principles. Did each party act according to their moral and legal obligations? Moral justification. Determine if the action were morally justifiable based on duty rather than consequences, even if the outcomes were negative. Were the actions taken in good faith and with adherence to ethical principles? 4. Apply the framework to reach a decision. Ethical judgment. Make a judgment based on whether the actions were consistent with the moral duties and principles identified. If a party act contrary to their duties, this would be deemed unethical under the duty framework. Decision impact. Consider the implications of the decision. The duty framework emphasizes the ethical decision should uphold duties and principles even if the consequences are not ideal. In context, if GR number 22430 involves a case where a party breached a contract using the duty framework would involve: identify the contractual duties owned by each party, evaluating whether the breach occurred despite an understanding of these duties, analyzing if the breach was justified by any overarching principles or if it was a failure to adhere to duty, concluding whether the remedy should focus to rectifying the breach and upholding the principle of contract integrity. By applying the duty framework, you focus on whether actions were ethically correct based on adherence to duties and principles, rather than rather than solely evaluating the outcomes. Thank you.